Hey guys, we're back in the Nerdy Bones studio today, and I just want to let you know that you can find us by searching nerdybones.podbean.com and looking under 3 in History. We are on Podcast Addict, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, Pandora, Stitcher, and anywhere else you can listen to your podcast. Also like us on Facebook at 3 in History Podcast and leave us a review as we greatly appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Let's get rolling.
And of course, we always accept suggestions. Today we're talking about the electric chair. It was, I don't know why, for the last couple of weeks, I've just been crazy about this. It's like all that's been in my mind is all I've been talking about at fucking work.
I can vouch.
Yeah. So we have some really interesting sources tonight. If you want to drop those for us.
Yeah, we're looking at Old Sparky by Anthony Galvin. It's an electric chair and the history of the death penalty. And also Murder in America, A History by Roger Lane. And Evil Serial Killers, Inside the Minds of Most Monstrous Murderers by Charlotte Krieg.
Yeah, like when I first started researching this, is like I don't want to make this like a gold star episode, but it kind of is.
Oh yeah, if you make it to the end, you definitely get a gold star.
You get a gold star. So we want to start off in 1881. It was actually first conceived by an actual dentist that used to actually be a steam engine engineer. That's just, I like put myself in his shoes. Like that's a weird spot to be. But his name is Alfred P. Southwick. He was hanging out on the pier after his boat got unloaded, and he saw a drunk. He saw the town drunk walk up and just shock himself to death.
Oh, nice. That would be good old Mr. George Smith.
Yeah, and he's like, well, people today are like kind of getting grossed out, but people getting hung, and like at that time it was hanging and the firing squad. And so everybody was grossed out by it. Like there was actually just right before the electric chair was conceived, there was a man hung to where his fucking head popped off his fucking body because the fucking rope was too long.
I totally just picture a Barbie doll and them just being like, pop.
That's basically what it was like. It was more or less like a algorithm. If you didn't like put it all together right, if the person was too heavy or too light and the drop was too long or too short, you wouldn't either snap their neck or you just pop their fucking head right off their body. So when he saw this electrocution, he actually saw a method into getting into like, I think I got an idea. He actually went home to his wife. He's like, oh yeah, I saw somebody shock somebody. I saw somebody shock themselves today.
Oh wait, I know a better way to kill people.
So using his actual engineering degree, he created a little device to start taking around and actually shocking little animals, to show people that it worked.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Yeah, he was like basically trying to go around and say, oh, this is a better way to execute things. Like they would literally take like little animals and like lure them out onto this little plate that was wired with 1,000-volt AC, and they would walk like little kittens and shit.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's like, dude, Thomas Edison was a dick. I'm going to get to that. But here's the thing is prior to this, like whenever they had to euthanize an animal or anything like that, they would like hang them or like they would hang horses. They would hang elephants.
So disturbing.
How do you hang an elephant?
They did it.
Seems
I found video.
tough.
I found video. They did it. Because here's the thing is to like shoot an elephant to death, man, you basically need a 50 cal. And
that's true. Their
we're gonna
skull
get
is so thick. So is their skin.
Yeah. We're going to get into Topsy the elephant later. But like I already told you about all So like I said prior to this, they hang them. They would actually a lot of times like in shelters they would just drown animals.
Wow.
Yeah.
We've come a long way apparently.
Yeah. So after a year of success, he actually Southwick started writing like articles for different like scientific papers and stuff like that. And then people started backing his ideas, and they thought it was like the way they built it was an acceptable replacement for capital punishment.
Nice.
Not nice.
No,
Well, you know what I mean. Thanks, guys. Making it sound like I'm like sweet, kill people. Yeah.
kill animals.
I had to go for that. So like since the guy was a dentist, what he was most used to working with was a chair.
Makes me wonder if he was something else. Like, what would he have used?
Right. Like
He's
let's
a
make an electric.
psychiatrist. He uses a couch.
Like if he was like a plumber, let's make an electric
Toilet.
bathtub.
I like how you go with toilet.
Sit down and
A it's a seat, it makes more sense than a toilet, doesn't it? I mean, than a tub, doesn't it?
Well, whenever I picture the electric chairs, I don't know why. Like when I thought about this topic, man, I just like got so laser focused because it's like the most fucking metal thing ever. I
It
guess.
really is. Hence the metallic sound.
Yeah, that's
There we
it.
go.
Yeah. So Southwick brought his prototype to the New York governor. His name is Jimmy McMillan, and he loved it. He just loved it right off the bat. And they brought in a Dalmatian and shocked it to death.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at with this whole thing is just ridiculous. And the fucked up thing is they didn't just shock it to death. He was trying to like prove that his power. We'll get into the war of currents. Well, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
That's a first.
So, the government actually of New York, put together a committee to look into it and decide if it was actually worth like putting into use as capital punishment. And this is where I want to quote my favorite researcher ever. His name's Henry Zabrowski. Such a hard name to say. Says, electrocution is the most badass motherfucking cool thing we've ever seen. Yeah, I just had.
When did he say that?
He didn't say. They didn't say that. He said that like making fun of them because they put together a committee to like watch somebody get electrocuted.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say, I was like, they talked like that back then? Like,
No,
I pictured them being like, that was really keen.
That was really key. Well, that's the joke is like he was making fun of them because the whole thing is seeing somebody just get electrocuted and deciding, okay, let's go ahead with that. I wouldn't.
That's a weird thought process. I mean, to sit there and to really be like, this is how we're going to kill people.
Right. Well, so everything kind of went into production with this committee. So they decided that let's look into what's going to power the electric chair. What's the big question is what's going to power the electric chair?
Enter Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison.
Yeah, well, Nikola Tesla is the one that is the inspiration. George Westinghouse uses his ideas, but it's basically is Nikola Tesla, but does George Westinghouse and Thomas Edison. This shit gets fucking out of control. He's a dick, man. But we'll get into that. What we're gonna get into next is the battle of the currents. Like we kind of got into that at the beginning of this. Is they're more or less trying to decide which is actually the superior and inferior, which one is going to go to the chair, because neither one of them wanted to be used or associated in the chair.
I don't blame them.
Thomas Edison, like I said, he's a dick, but we'll get into that again. So, but like we said, like George Westinghouse, he used Tesla's ideas, which was AC, and Thomas Edison used direct current, which is one of the biggest problems with direct current is it was super, super expensive. Large, like copper bundles had to be used just to power like maybe 10 houses. And so we already established Edison's kind of a piece of shit in this whole story. So he wants to win the current battle. He wants to not be associated with the electric chair. So he doesn't want anything to do with that because anybody that wants to buy a light bulb has to buy it from the guy that invented the electric chair. Well, there you go.
Touché.
So to cheat, Edison hired a guy named Harold Pitty Brown to launch a PR campaign to prove AC technology was deadly. This is where the word electrocution was actually invented. They mixed the word electrocute and execution.
Wow, I like that.
Yes. Yeah, I like it too, which is weird.
I know. Does that make me a sick person? Well, don't answer that.
So he literally went around the country and he would shock animals with AC and then shock animals with DC.
Was there really that much of a difference?
Yeah, because AC is just slow torture. Or I'm sorry, DC is just slow torture. And then AC at the wrong volts is just setting somebody on fire.
And one costs a lot more, you said, right?
Yeah. Well, the DC because of the big copper wires.
Yeah.
And then the Edison didn't want to be put out of business because it was so easy to make AC generators. So like I was talking before, Brown put together these press conferences where he was bringing animals together and shocking them to death. And reporters watched this, and the shitty thing at the time is the reporter's like, oh, this is so efficient.
But back then, though, animals didn't mean as much as they do now. Like now they're a part of the family, and it's like everybody's got a dog or a cat or something. Back then, it was, people were where it's at.
Well, and the fucked up thing is when they were saying efficient is it was good for killing people, but not good to power your homes.
Nice.
AC is dangerous, but we can kill people with it.
Well, I guess if it works. Or worked, since we don't use it anymore.
Yeah, if that's all you're trying to do is kill somebody.
Well, that's what they were trying to do.
Well, that's all, and it was cheap too. You know, for the most part, it took about 13 seconds at first because they had it cranked up all high. And
13 seconds of that much
they were
power.
just cooking
How much
dudes.
would that cost?
They were just cooking dudes. They just. It was ridiculous.
Smells like chicken.
It smells like. So at this point, the exploratory committee from earlier published a 95-page stating, quote,
Electrocution is clearly the winner.
that's a 95. Why do you need 95 pages?
One sentence.
Yeah, the electrician is clearly the winner. So May 18th, 1888, Senator Harry Coggeshall. I hope I have that right. It's spelled Cogleshell. Coggeshall?
Well, the bottom part is definitely shell.
He ended up pushing forward the bill, stating, quote,
All capital offenses committed after January 1st, 1889 will be punished by electrocution until death.
that's scary.
Well, you don't want electrocution until...
Till not dead?
Till not
yeah.
dead.
So at this point, Pitty Brown hits the scene. I think he's in your notes. He's another guy that kind of is hired by Edison that comes through to try to like defame this is the war of the currents. Like he's trying to make everything look as shitty as it can for AC. So this is the guy that ends up going on the road. He ends up going from town to town to town in most of New York, and he ends up paying kids 25 cents a piece to bring animals to him to shock to death in front of people.
Wow. I mean, what's funny is kids nowadays would be traumatized. They'd be like, no, not the puppy.
Yeah.
Back then, they're like, money, 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 money.
Well, the big thing for me is like electricity is new at this point.
That's true.
You know, so it's like it'd be like seeing a magic show.
What year is it exactly again?
Right now we're in 1889.
Okay, yeah. So some places still didn't even have
25 cents is a
electricity.
lot.
There's
back
like
then.
$5
Yeah.
at least. At least $5.
Probably more. Because back then, that was like getting into, where a lot of them were starving and didn't even have money.
Yeah. That's. If I was a kid at that time, I'd go fucking catch me like 10, 15 cats.
Right.
I'd get pigeons because they explode.
Bring them up. I'd bring. Oh my god, that caught me off guard. I looked up. I was just like, sorry. So he ended up actually getting bored and started bringing along like horses and calves and llamas, and at one point he even actually brought out an orangutan and shocked it to death.
Dude, that's like
fucked
so
up.
close to human right there. Like that had to have been the turning point, and then being like, "Yep, this works."
I wonder if he was given more money for the more exotic animals.
It's funny. It's funny that you say that because directly the next thing I have in my note is the more people that showed up, the more money Edison would pay him.
Oh, I'll bet.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Edison was paying that. He's a piece of shit. Like I said earlier, he's paying for fucking this guy to go around and shock fucking animals to death in front of people to make them afraid of AC, to spend all this crazy extra money on these big copper wires to power their cities. Because like anything about the 1930s World Fair?
A little bit.
This is not till about like 35, 40 years later, but this whole AC/DC thing comes in again later. So next we're gonna get into the myth of Topsy the elephant. She was an elephant that was electrocuted in public, but everybody blamed Thomas Edison for doing that, but it wasn't him. It was the faculty at a place called Luna Park in Coney Island. So they decided to put Topsy the elephant to death because she trampled 3 people after a drunk guy burned her trunk with a cigar.
Well, dude, like,
Yeah,
if someone
dude.
burns you and
Burn
you're
me in
big,
the-
I'd fucking trample people,
Burn me in the face, I'm gonna fucking probably run you down too.
right?
Well, the original plan was the hanger. That was the original, and they were gonna charge admission.
Oh my god.
They were gonna charge admission to go. Like, how do you, like Jake said earlier, how do you fucking hang an elephant?
Very carefully.
Like, what's the average weight? What's the average weight of a fucking elephant?
Like a ton, I thought. Like not even just joking. I mean, I thought it's around there, isn't it?
Well, they had to put out a request to the city to be able to do this, to even sell tickets for it. So the ASPCA heard about it. They're like, nah, you're not doing that.
Good.
You're not fucking hanging an elephant.
So there were organizations that didn't like that.
Yeah.
back then.
So Edison stepped in, slapped fucking copper fucking shackles on Topsy's ankles, fed her fucking cyanide carrots, and garroted her.
What?
And electrocuted her all at once. I'm not even joking. So Edison actually got tied to it because he owned a recording company that's actually got sent down to actually record this elephant get electrocuted for a documentary they put out in 1889 actually called Electrocuting an Elephant.
That had to have been obviously just radio, right?
No. Well, it was, you could buy it as a reel.
Oh,
And
so like silent film?
Yeah, and the thing is when you bought it, it would say Edison Film on the bottom of it.
Oh, wow.
So that's why everybody
Associated him with it, yeah.
So in 1889, that following month after Topsy getting electrocuted, the government committee unanimously voted that Westinghouse's AC would be chosen for the chair.
Oh, wow.
So effectively, Edison won the War of the Currents because now he's not being used for the chair. So his electricity is not going to be used for it.
Nice.
So Westinghouse
I
actually...
love nice for him anyway.
Right. So Westinghouse, the guy that we had initially talked about, the guy that saw the guy shock himself, he gets a quote from the government to make these generators, and he refuses to make them. He just outright refuses to make these, saying, quote,
I'm not going to sell them to you, and you can't make me.
I love that, because that's how he would sound in my head.
Mine too. It's probably pretty bad.
That's how he would sound in my head. Like I've seen a bunch of pictures of him, and he's got that mustache that you like twirl on both sides, and you're like,
Then he
Snidely
definitely
Whiplash.
yeah.
Or Salvador Dali.
So he just outright refused to fill the order. So Thomas Edison, under a false name, goes and orders these generators to be sent to a university in Brazil.
Oh, dirty.
Yeah, and then once they get sent to the university in Brazil, he sends them right back up to New York State to be installed in the prisons.
Wow. How mad would you be if you were that other guy?
Dude, that's some tricky ass shit. That's how much Edison did not want to be involved in the electric chair.
I don't blame him though, man. If I'd be sneaky like that too, because like I don't want people to know that I'm the one who was associated with killing people.
And the fucked up thing is, like, AC is what we're using to record this podcast with.
Nice.
That's what that's all in all. Like, AC is what's in use today, and so in hindsight, Edison's the asshole because we're not using his power. So we're gonna go into the first person set to be killed in the electric chair. He was actually an illiterate merchant farmer named William Keller. We got him written down there, right?
Yep.
William Keller. He was illiterate, so of course he couldn't defend himself. And Keller was unfortunate enough to be in a state where it was the first spot that was starting to think about using this form of capital punishment.
Killed his wife with an axe,
Yeah, he did.
right? So he kind of deserved it.
See, here's my thing: is like we'll put aside a little bit of time, a little bit before the end of the episode, to talk about how we personally feel about the death penalty. Myself, I think it has
Spoilers.
It's got stipulations, and we'll talk about that. It's got stipulations. So here's the thing: is he suddenly had the most expensive lawyer in the town. Yeah, he suddenly had the most expensive lawyer in the fucking town, and his name is the best. It's W. Bork Cochran. Dude,
I do like that
Bork,
name.
bork, bork.
dude, if my lawyer was named Bork, I'd be like, all right, dude, I'm good.
I would not. I would have the exact opposite. I'd be like, his name is Bork. I'm so fucked.
I love that though, Bork.
Bork Cochran.
So Bork began filing appeals on his behalf under the Eighth Amendment, which states against the government cannot hand down cruel and unusual punishment. And at that point, like, electricity was still kind of new.
Yeah.
So they were trying to figure out, is that cruel or unusual or not?
You know, when you think about it, any way you're going to go and kill someone is cruel, and it's unusual because it goes against what we're supposed to be as human beings. We're not supposed to kill each other.
Yeah,
but
I have to agree.
whatever. We gotta figure out some way to do it, right?
So guess who was paying the lawyer's bills for this whole case?
Oh, Thomas Edison.
Nope, George Westinghouse.
Oh,
Yeah.
got me on that one.
Yeah. George Westinghouse was paying his attorney's bills to get him because he wanted to get him off the death penalty because he didn't want to see him get shocked to death, and then it just perpetuate the whole thing.
Which is what happened.
So he actually put up 3 appeals. He lost the first appeal. He lost the very first appeal because they hadn't even constructed the electric chair yet.
Okay.
So they actually put this into law to where he's going to get put in the chair, and the chair hasn't been actually 100% commissioned and made yet.
So he's a testing person, basically.
Yeah.
They're like, thank God he axed his wife.
We're gonna build this whole chair and put it to and he gets. We'll give him an appeal or whatever. We'll give him an appeal, whatever. Guess who testified at his 3rd appeal?
I'm not going to guess again.
Thomas Edison.
Oh, dang it. That was going to be right.
Thomas Edison came in and basically said, this is because he wasn't actually testifying on whether this guy's going to get off the death penalty or not. He's testifying whether he's going to get electrocuted or not. So Thomas Edison comes in and he's like, hey, AC's fine. Go ahead and use it.
It's not DC.
Yeah, as long as you don't use AC, we're all good. We're all good to do it. And the thing is people were in the past freaked out by like hangings and shootings and how beheadings.
Beheadings and hangings were very, very messy. Beheadings, obviously, because you're cutting them off and the blood squirting all over the place and everything, And then if you didn't drop the guillotine right or the axe right, you get through their jawbone, and it's just messy.
Well, hence Westinghouse thinking of it in the first place. Like,
yeah,
just gory as shit.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, because they talk about with hanging them, about them like expelling their bowels and all that stuff, but it's like they still do the same thing in the chair.
Yeah, I got this little spot on that later, and no pun intended.
This is what happens.
Yeah.
You die and you poop.
So you void. But yeah, so people saw the chair as like innovative. It's like, think about it today. The way I put it in my head is like it was like the new iPhone because the electricity was new.
Yeah.
So it'd be like they would literally go to the middle of town if they had one fucking lamp to see it light up, and it was like, whoo.
Yeah. Think about it. Back then, they didn't have that much going on.
No,
because they had to go to bed when the sun went down because the candles were expensive. They had to make their own candles.
Right.
So once the electricity was out, then they're like, oh, we can do so much more.
Well, that was one of the big things I was thinking about this whole story is just electricity is so fresh and new.
It's really not that old when you think about it, compared to how long we went around with candles and fire and shit.
So the first chair is built.
Lay on me some knowledge here. What year was that?
That was 1889. It still blows my mind that like electricity was still so raw at that time. Like I didn't think to look at it like when it was actually like first harnessed. But to put it into use that way, that early, still kind of scares the shit out of me. I was looking over my notes before we restarted again, and I was like thinking about that, like, holy crap.
Yeah, humans are kind of a little bit dark.
Yeah, so the first chair was built and it was actually made out of oak with leather straps.
Fancy.
And there was to start off with, there was 2 electrodes. They would shave the top of your head, and there'd be like a sponge it'd have to be a natural sponge with saline solution because the saline solution would help
conduct the current.
Yeah, it would reduce the current or effectively either increasing or decreasing the resistance.
Okay.
A lower resistance means more temperature but a lower voltage. A higher resistance means a higher temperature with less voltage.
Okay.
It's like I said, we're talking about earlier, it fries your fucking brain. It literally cooks your brain in your skull. So
yummy.
So the first execution using the chair was to be performed by a man named Edwin Davis in Auburn, New York, and he was set to put William Keller to death on the very first execution by the electric chair, and to test it out, they fucking used it on a horse.
Interesting.
And guess what?
They didn't put the horse in the chair, though, right? I know
They
that
strapped
sounds
it to a horse. They strapped it to a horse.
Oh, okay.
And guess what? It worked great. I wrote that down for myself to say it like that. So but it was determined that 1,000 volts should be the average which to take to kill a man. So they put Davis in the chair and they flipped the switch and they hit him with 700 volts.
They agreed upon what 100, and then they zapped him with 700.
The agreed upon amount is 1,000.
Oh, so they under electrocuted
Yeah, they
him.
hit him with it, and this is the first electrocution ever. Mm-hmm. It's the very first one ever. So they're still like trying to figure out what dial means which.
That's so sad. I would not want to be the
You don't
guinea
want to
pig
be
for
the
that.
first few people.
No.
Dude,
You don't want to be them at all, but I
No.
mean, shit, if you
No,
have to be any
true,
of them, you
yeah.
want to be the one where it just zaps you and you're dead.
So Davis hits the switch a second time and holds it for 17 seconds because they hit it once, and he was fucking kicking and screaming.
Oh
So-
my God.
So he gets hit a second time, and like I just imagine him just doing this. Can't even think to explain, like jerking around and just whipping around and being electrocuted.
Like a child throwing a tantrum.
Yeah, and that second time didn't kill him. The
How
second
many
time.
times did they have to do it?
Yeah. So they threw it.
Yeah, probably.
They cranked it up to 1,030 volts. Finally, fucking killed the guy. Finally, with fucking three.
So over 1,000.
Yeah,
But
1,000.
it's a,
Well, they fucking went from 1,000 to 700 to 1,030 in such a jump.
Yeah.
You know, like I was saying earlier, that goes from torture to cooking your brain in such a huge fucking jump.
Well, they figured they had to get it done. You know, they already zapped him a couple times and didn't do anything. So let's just finally just fry his ass.
Yeah. The thing is like the prolonged electrocution thoroughly cooked the guy. Yeah.
I mean,
Thoroughly.
you just pictured what I pictured in my head. It's like the Looney Tunes, like, you know, when they cook them and
Yeah.
the guy turns into a turkey with like the smoke
Yeah.
coming out. That's what I pictured.
It was said that the smell of burnt flesh and burning hair just completely filled the room.
Oh,
it's
grody.
unpleasant.
Yeah, like fucking smoke rose from his head, and people tried to like run out of the room. But
Oh yeah, that's a horrible smell.
The thing is the jailers are like, no, you came for this, you're staying for it.
Ooh.
Yeah, they wouldn't let people out of the room. They
Oh, I'm
walked
sure
in
people
for
were
it.
vomiting and all that stuff.
Well, I'm sure I would too, even though like, because you think about it, it's like,
that's got to be hard to watch.
Yeah, we'll paint. Well, I will paint more of a picture later of how gross it really is. But that first electrocution where they were just guessing what they were doing, they fucking hit the guy 3 times. Fucking 3 times.
That's pretty bad.
That's they had to find the sweet spot, like what kills a guy and what just fucks a guy up.
Well, you'd think they would have figured that out when they zapped the damn horse.
But a horse is, you know what, 10,000? Not 10,000 pounds. That's a
No,
big
it
horse.
is not 10,000.
That's a big horse.
Big fucking horse.
That's a big horse. That's more than like 4 cars. My math is awesome. So it was decided it was 2,000 volts will be the standard from that point on. From after that first execution, it's just
So you said that they do it twice.
once for 60 seconds, take a break for 10 seconds, and another 60 seconds.
And they're both 2,000 each time?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the big thing. I was trying to figure out whether it was like showmanship or just to just make goddamn sure that guy's dead.
I'm going to go to make
Little bit of
sure that
both,
he's
anyway.
dead. Yeah.
Yeah, because they were still trying to sell the whole thing
That's true. Yeah.
because they wanted other states to buy it, wanted other states to buy into the death penalty. And
How many states ended up doing it?
4 states at the beginning, and by 1910 it was 4 states. It was Ohio, New Jersey, Virginia, and North Carolina. Ended up commissioning the very first electric chairs after Old Sparky in New York.
Okay.
And each one of them ended up putting like their own little flair on it. They would like make different like headrests and like different ways to.
Ooh, designer killing machines.
Gives a
Yeah.
little more comfort.
And they would The funny thing is because a lot of times the inmates would actually have to help clean up the chamber and stuff like that.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, we'll get into that later. I'm getting ahead of myself. I told the story earlier. So each chair in its own city had its own name. Like Alabama had the Green Mama.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they painted it bright green for some reason. That's a horrible thing to do. Like somebody to walk into that. And New York had Old Sparky, and Louisiana was Gruesome Gertie.
Okay, that one fits.
Gruesome Gertie, yeah. I don't know. Old Sparky just sounds so scary to me.
I know that one's just mean. I mean, like seriously, like that's just telling you, like get up there. Old Sparky's gonna spark you up.
And the big thing is, no matter the name, no matter the configuration, the chair still did the same thing. Mm-hmm. Right. No matter what it did the same thing. So I talked about it earlier. The saline solution was such a big deal. Mm-hmm. So in that first execution, they saw how bad it was. You know, like you get it too low, and too low, you're just torturing a guy, and too high, you got a man on fire.
Dude, I'm so bad. Why am I laughing at this stuff?
And if the sponge was too wet, it would just end up short-circuiting the entire system.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So of course, they started to kind of look for upgrades and stuff like that. At first, the chair had leather straps, which would cause unnecessary burns, and it would cause a lot of the fucking nasty smell too.
Well, think about it. It's not just burning human; it's burning cow.
Yeah. Well, the thing is they had metal straps on the. I don't know that. I've never been in an electric chair. I don't know.
I hope not.
So an inmate actually cleaning the chair room, as they call it, or the switch room, a lot of different words for it. His name was Charles Justice. Actually suggested, quote,
"Those leather straps, you shouldn't be doing it that way. That's just gonna burn people."
And it's because he had to clean that room up so many times that he probably walked in there each time like, "Fuck, you're just burning people." So I didn't look.
See, I feel weird about that one. I mean, we're all,
I feel weird about that one.
We're already zapping the motherfucker. So what does it really matter if he's getting burned or not?
Just that extra more pain before you die.
I guess.
Oh, yeah, just that extra more, just much. Because when they first started doing it was supposed to be like humane and instant. But the more we look into it later as we go, it's definitely not instant.
Well, and it's not humane.
Yeah,
2 sets of 60 seconds is definitely not instant. Time out for 10 seconds real quick.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, okay, we didn't get him in that one. Just give him a break.
Not
Give him a
humane
break.
or instant.
Yeah.
So he suggested they use different kind of like metal strappings on the actual arms and leg straps, and they used it, and it actually ended up working really well, and it actually increased the current, making the shock faster.
See, I would think that the metal would burn.
That was what I thought, but here's the thing: is the conductivity of the metal just made the shock faster.
Oh.
So there wasn't as many burns, which is kind of interesting that a 1910s inmate would notice that and be like, hey, you know, use some metal instead of that.
Well, he might not have been that dumb of a guy.
You make a point. He might have just been a prison Einstein. I don't know how dangerous that could be, though.
I guess it would depend on how much he can get his hands on.
So they ended up using his idea, and they actually took him off of life in prison and actually put him on parole, and he got out of jail.
Oh, wow. Guess it pays to be smart.
But then 11 years later, Justice got arrested for robbery and murder.
But not for long.
Okay, so he was only so smart.
Yeah. Well, he was out for 11 years. He did it for a while. He got to pal around for a while.
Yeah, then he got dumb again and killed and was right back where he began.
Maybe he didn't get caught previously.
Well, on November 9th, 1911, Justice himself was put to death in that same electric chair that he helped improve.
At least it didn't have the leather straps on it.
That's what he was thinking as he sits here. He's like, well, at least
Got
I'm not
this
going to get burned unnecessarily.
Metal straps, thanks. Glad I came up with that idea.
So, keeping up with trying to improve the chair, they ended up using the metal straps, and then they ended up going from 2 electrodes to 3 electrodes. They took the one electrode that was at the bottom of the spine and turned it into 2, so put it on one on each ankle.
Was that part of the shackles?
It was actually under the shackles on both ankles, completing a 3-point circuit is what they called it.
Interesting.
So, yeah, and once all electrodes were attached, they'd flip the switch, like we talked about earlier, the 60-second intervals.
How many people did it take? How many people were in the room besides the inmate?
That's the thing is there would be a CO and another like inmate because they couldn't have doctors.
And why is that, Keith?
The Hippocratic Oath. The
Interesting.
Hippocratic Oath actually applies to the electric chair, the gas chamber, and lethal injection.
Nice.
They can't be in the room and have anything to do with it. They can't like set the procedure up, anything like that. But here's the thing: is to do something like that, wouldn't you need some kind of professional opinion to even begin to get started?
These are questions that I'm pretty sure the inmates ask themselves as they're walking down the freaking lane to go get killed. Should there be someone present to save my life?
One of the weird things in my research I found is they're not 100% sure how the electric chair actually kills you. It doesn't stop your heart. It doesn't knock you out. It's literally fries your brain.
Well, wouldn't that be how it kills you?
That's not 100% agreed on though.
Why?
Because that can cause brain death, but it's not going to like. There's some times where it actually will fry the part of the medulla that controls breathing. Then you actually suffocate. It actually you seize up until you suffocate. You suffocate.
Suffragette City.
So, like I was saying, the main theory is paralysis of the diaphragm while you're being electrocuted. And it's a really hard seized up paralysis. Like your whole body's tensed. It's just trauma. And once the temperature hits enough, your brain starts to bubble, and and you die. It's just all in all, it's just a controversial thing.
Yeah. No wonder we don't do it anymore.
A lot of reasons is the skin would turn red and swell and pop. The eyeballs would fly out on the first flip of the switch. The smell would cause people to vomit. A lot of the executioners would get PTSD.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, so we're going to pick up on this next week when we talk about the actual function of the chair, the people put in it, the most famous people put to death in the chair, a lot of the executioners that actually made a notoriety for themselves called switchmen. So we appreciate you guys listening to this episode, and we'll see you next week.
And remember, you can find us by searching nerdybones.podbean.com and looking under 3 in History. We are on Podcast Addict, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, Pandora, Stitcher, and anywhere else you can listen to your podcast. Again, also like us on Facebook at 3 in History Podcast and leave us a review as we greatly appreciate it. Again, thanks, guys.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.